So hello everyone, I'm Mirek Petricek. I am lead QA at Marmalade, and I'm going to talk you through developing for Windows Phone 8 and Tizen. So first of all, it's about Marmalade Platforms, and we support more than 10 of them, starting with obvious ones like iOS, Android, and BlackBerry. Then less common, Android that can run on MIPS and x86 chips. Then desktop platforms like Windows and OS X. Finally, flat TV, LG TV Netcast or Roku, and Windows Phone and Tizen. These are relatively new additions to our platforms family. And more platforms are good for you because it means more opportunities for you, because this is the ways how you can maximize the income from your app. And these new platforms are especially good because customers are eager for new apps. You can really earn some money from that because, as you know, it's much more difficult to compete with iOS in iOS Store or Android Store because everything is implemented. And we have cool technology. We have Marmalade SDK and we have Marmalade Play, which will be discussed after this presentation, and we can help you with that. So we know how to make it to the store, and we can help you. So let's start with Windows Phone 8. Windows Phone 8 is Microsoft platform. It was introduced in October last year. It's part of the Windows family. It was introduced together with Windows 8 and Windows RT, as you might know. It has about 4% market share last time I checked that. But you know, in its worldwide market share, in many countries, including UK, it's double digit. So it's actually quite important platform. It has a bigger market share than BlackBerry, for instance. Then it uses native C and C++ and managed C# APIs for development and DirectX graphic pipeline. The platform is not that fragmented. It's basically nothing compared to Android or even iOS. There are about 3 resolutions, WVGA, 720p, and WXGA. And I've just received an email from Microsoft this morning that they announced 1080p device. Devices are widely available on market. You can get device from HTC, Nokia, Samsung, and Huawei. They are all very good. So you can expect minimum performance of 1 GHz CPU, dual-core CPU, Snapdragon S4 or similar, something like that, and ½ gig of memory. So it's nothing like Android where you need to count with very low-end devices. We introduced limited support for Windows Phone 8 last year with strong support from Microsoft. We were working closely with them to make it. And now we have full commercial support, including NDK, starting from Marmalade 7. We have Marmalade Windows Phone Promotional offer, and Matthew was talking about it just before me. So you can get application, you can get mobile for free, and you can get free development token, and you can get Marmalade license extension if you submit your app. Most universal Marmalade APIs are supported. Not all of them, obviously, but most of them are. Notable exclusions is, for example, IW NUI, which is not supported, but will be done shortly. It is supported both by Marmalade C++ and Lua, so you can develop in C++ and as well as Lua. We have APIs, platform-specific APIs, S3 window store billing or generic IW billing for monetizing your app. If you want to do in-app purchases, you can do it. We also support advertisements, which is another way how to get more income from your apps. We don't have any support for Windows RT or Windows 8 yet, but we are working hard on it, and it's not secret that it will be available. So what do you need in order to develop for Windows Phone 8? First of all, you need to be on Windows 8 on your development machines. Unfortunately, you can't use Mac. I'm a Mac user, so it's sad. And you can't use even Windows 7. You really need to have Windows 8 because Microsoft tools needs to run on Windows 8. You need to have Visual Studio 2012 and Windows Phone SDK, Windows Phone 8 SDK to be specific. And you might know that Visual Studio is sold in different editions. There is Express edition, which is separated to Express for desktop, Express for Windows 8, and Express for Windows Phone. So you need to have Windows Phone version. Or you can use Pro Edition or Enterprise or Ultimate. I think that's the highest one. And you get everything in it. There is some limitation talking about Windows Visual Studio 2012 Express. There is some limitation that unfortunately it no longer works in command line mode. So you need to use it in IDE mode. So if you want to use it from Marmalade Hub, or if you want to use custom script and build it from command line, or use it on build server or somewhere, you need to use Pro version. From Marmalade perspective, you need at least Indie license. Obviously, the better license, the better. And you can use, obviously, the evaluation license, and you can, for about, I think, 30 days, you can develop and deploy everywhere with evaluation license. And finally, you need to have Windows developer account. You need to be registered at Microsoft, and your device needs to be enabled for development. So it's done basically when you use your Live ID credentials and log in to specific application on Windows 8. You can say this device is enabled for development, and then you can develop for it. So it's easier than, let's say, iOS. No provisioning profiles, no certificates, no keys or anything. So if you don't want to use some specific cloud solution from Microsoft, you don't need to worry about signing your app. And you can use as much as 3 devices. You can have 3 devices registered. There are 3 slots on Microsoft pages, but if you are nice, you can ask Microsoft and they can increase the limit for you. Because I have about 5 devices and all of them on single account, so there is a way. Then one of the limitations or specific for development on for Windows Phone 8 is that there is no runtime shader compilation. So if you use GL shader, you need to supply precompiled binary shader, which is complication because platform is DirectX based. So if you are using OpenGL or GLES to be precise, you need to provide precompiled shader binaries, and which is not very nice, but we have a very cool solution for that in Marmalade. You can obviously use Marmalade-specific graphic APIs like IWGL or IWGX, and everything should work with supposing that you provide the shaders. We also can't support GLES 1 because it's a limitation of our graphic pipeline, but you need to use GLES 2. We have a full on-device debugging support, which is cool because you can run the application directly on the device, set breakpoints in your code, and debug as you are used to. And obviously, you can use Marmalade simulators, x86 and ARM simulators for debugging your app. Unfortunately, we don't support Windows Phone simulator, the simulator that comes with Microsoft SDK. But we are working on that, and we would like to provide the support very soon. So next platform I would like to talk about is Tizen. Tizen, as you might know, is Linux-based open source platform. It's basically part of Linux Foundation project, but with very strong commercial support from Samsung and Intel. It's successor of Bada OS. Maybe some of you remember Bada OS. We supported Bada when it was popular a year ago or so. And MeeGo, which is Intel operating system for phones. So the Tizen includes best of these 2 systems. The developers are encouraged to use HTML5 for development, but obviously you can use C++. And we all know that C++ is better than HTML5, don't we? So another reason why to use Marmalade. In Marmalade, we support Tizen as of 6.4, but it's always better, especially support for Tizen is something that we are working hard, so it's always better to use latest version. We support Tizen on ARM 2.2. We don't support x86 yet. Commercial devices are not yet available, so the platform is on its start, and there are some pre-commercial devices. I have it here. So this is the Tizen device we are using for development, and it's Samsung. It's basically S3 phone which runs with just slightly more ugly frame, and it runs Tizen. On Tizen pages, you can get the phone if you specify your projects and ask them nicely. They can include you in your program, or wait until next week when we announce the Tizen offer. You can develop on Windows and OS X, so that's good, and it's very similar to Android. You know, many people say that that Tizen is just Android because it's based on Linux kernel, so it's Tizen Android without Dalvik system, so it's good. All Marmalade Universal API are supported with some exclusions. Unfortunately, we have no support for EDK, but obviously this is something we are working on, so we would like to get that soon. And there is no x86 support because as I mentioned, Tizen can run on a range of devices, you know, not just phones. The ambitions is to support flat TV screens or tablets and everything. We support ARM version of Tizen at this point of time. Next to universal APIs, we have Tizen in-app purchases and advertisements using Tizen-specific APIs. This is, you know, if you are developing for Marmalade, you know that this is likely the part that you need to change. If you are porting your apps, for example, from iOS to Android, you can't use, obviously, Game Center functionality or in-app purchases from iOS. This is the thing you need to rewrite every time you port your app to different platforms. We are trying to fight that problem by introducing IW billing modules. So, but this is still not supported by Tizen. As I mentioned, its development experience is very similar to Android. So there is SDB tool, which is very similar to ADB. So if you are familiar with ADB syntax, you can use SDB. There are manifests. So in Android, you have to specify XML file that includes some metadata about your apps. Something similar is there for Tizen. Fortunately, you don't have to worry about signing, you know, for development. So it's just like Android. So if you enable development mode on your device, you can deploy directly without having to pay Tizen or Samsung or whoever some payment for accessing it. Obviously, if you want to distribute your app, you need to sign it properly. Our experience with Tizen is that it's quite easy platform to work with. It's many things just works, you know. So normally, if you are developing, for example, in comparison with Microsoft Windows Phone, then obviously you have to fight with graphic pipeline differences. Here, if you have running apps on Android, there is a good chance that with very small changes you can just easily take it to Tizen. That's it. And now I have a demo. So this is the new Marmalade Hub. I'm sure that I'm not the first one who is presenting it today. And as you know, we have C++ module here. So let's try to develop or deploy the application to Windows Phone 8 first. So this is Nokia 820, which is quite popular phone. Let's connect it to computer. First of all, if you want to deploy anything to Windows Phone, you need to be sure that the device is running and it's not locked. Unfortunately, you can't deploy to a device that's locked, that has locked screen. The device has to be enabled for development, as I mentioned. Microsoft, they have tool which is part of Visual Studio. So if you have something like that, you can run it, and you can register the phone. And obviously, you need to supply credentials. But I know that this device is registered, so there is no need to do it. But you just need to enter your developer account details, and that will be it. So let's go to C++ and use one of the examples we are supplying with Marmalade. So we have cool Harvest Hijinks game. So let's open it. It's here. And the thing is that you need to specify Windows Phone 8 platform that you want to deploy on Windows Phone 8. The thing is that on this computer, I have Express edition of Visual Studio installed, so I can't build it directly. That's the limitation of Windows Visual Studio Express. If you want to build your game, you need to open it in IDE. So let's do it. And you need to build it. Oh, it's already built, so let's rebuild it so that it's clean. This is a new game that was added to the SDK in Marmalade 7. Because previously we had, you remember the cards game with racing game or the Tetris kind of game. So this is match 3 game, which is much better and then closer to what you guys are doing, hopefully. So it's built, so that's it. I can deploy it straight away from Visual Studio. So I have a toolbar here, so I can deploy it using normal deploy tool. But I want to use the hub, so let's quit it for now and return back to the hub. So now it's built. So obviously I can change some of the settings. If you want to develop, you can specify author or publisher ID, description, product ID. You can restrict where the application is running. So if I want to prevent application from running on 720p, I can click that. This is good only for submitting to store, because device doesn't care. But if you submit your app to the store and specify this, it means that Microsoft will not be offering your app to 720p device, which is a good feature because, as I mentioned, there are 3 different or 4 different resolutions now. And if you test your app on specific resolution, and if you are not sure it's working, you can specify that and prevent bad feedbacks from your users. You can, the Windows Phone interface is about a tile Metro interface. It's all about tiles, so you can specify front, back, tile, and everything, all the aspects. Then you can specify custom manifest. Manifest as for example, on Android or Tizen, it's XML file with custom or specific definitions that's evaluated by Microsoft or when the application is run. It's equivalent to plist if you are developing for iOS. So you can either generate manifest by Marmalade or you can specify your own. You can add your application to Games Hub because you can say that this application is game, so I want it to be in part of the game because this is a cool feature of Windows Phone that games are somehow, stored in specific part of your phone so that you can give your phone to children without messing up with your normal apps. So it's cool. And project-specific things, you know, like obviously the name, icon, splash screen image, and assets, and so on. You can specify version, and so on. So let's leave the defaults and deploy the app. So as I mentioned, device needs to be unlocked. We are using WP Tools, which is open source product for deployment, because we found that the native applications cannot handle command line options, so we had to implement WP Tools, which is good to have. If you are developing for Windows Phone, I warmly suggest to use it, because you can download your app from the device, delete it, upgrade it, and so on. And application is running. So it was that easy. Let's try to deploy, for example, Marmalade Quick project. So we have number of quick examples in the app. So let's say that you want to use audio application, drum kit. Obviously, a quick application, you don't need to compile them because they use runtime. Everything is in Lua. So you don't need to use any IDE. That's the biggest advantage of Marmalade Quick technology. And I can run it in simulator to see how it works. And that's it. It should play the sound, but my speaker is not very good. And let's put it on device. Oh, obviously. You can see that, I mentioned that several times, device has to be unlocked. And unfortunately, that's the problem of Nokia devices, because on HTC devices you can set it to be unlocked indefinitely, but Nokia have very short lock. Internally, you know, what Marmalade does is that it generates the XML file, the manifest. We are generating dummy publisher ID. Obviously, if you have account from Microsoft, you have your own developer ID, but for development, you don't need it. You can specify whatever. So we are generating all zeros or ones. And application is running. Good. So now let's try Tizen. As I mentioned, we are using these prototypes. They call them RDPQ version. It runs Tizen 2.2. It's pretty much the same as Samsung Galaxy S3. With just a bit more plastic. So let's connect it. And since we deployed hardware Jinx, let's do the same for Tizen. Obviously, you don't need Visual Studio 2012 for Windows Phone. Tizen, you can build Tizen everywhere, including Visual Studio Express 2010, which I have installed. So let's switch to Tizen, and now build button is here. Obviously, I can still open it in IDE. And this is the source code of the game. But I don't have to. I can build it from the interface, from the hub interface. So let's click Build button. And it's now building on the background. Okay, it's there. And device doesn't have to be unlocked, fortunately, on Tizen. The very similar procedure, like it's pretty much the same as Android, So it generates TPK file, which is equivalent of Android APK, and it's now running on device. So it asks every time you run application for the first time on Tizen, it asks for permissions, and if you just accept it, then it launches. So the game is running. And it's the same deployment, same code, same everything. It includes billing, and ads. If you are working or if you are developing or deploying app for Android, it will include ads and in-app purchases and so on. So you can deploy the very same code to these two new platforms. We can have a look inside the package, how it looks like internally. So this button opens the deployment. As I mentioned, at the end there is TPK file, which is nothing magic. It's really a zip file. So if you have something like 7-zip installed, you can look inside it. There is application binary, assets, and metadata manifest. The manifest, be careful about privileges, because we were submitting a number of apps to Tizen Store, and it looks like that the reviewers are particularly looking for these things. Unfortunately, since you are using Marmalade, and Marmalade has platform has APIs for many different things. Even if your app doesn't directly use, for example, vibration capability, it still needs to be included because it's part of our runtime. We are now planning to do something which is called core refactor in Marmalade, where we want to eliminate that. So we want to be able to specify and only include parts that are really necessary. But if you are using Marmalade, you really need all these default things. The problems you can have when submitting application to store is that they detect that you are using the API because it's part of Marmalade, and they reject you app because of that. So be careful when submitting application to store. Or you can obviously use Marmalade Play, and we can sort that for you. We can spot these issues before you submit it. Yeah. We can do the same thing for Windows Phone because I still have the deployment. So if I open the deployment folder for Windows Phone 8, you can see there is a ZAP package. And again, it's nothing more than a zip file. So if I open it, there is Marmalade specific files, the manifest, the graphic pipeline we are using, and obviously your app and everything related to that. So that's it. That's it from me. So any questions? Yes?
There's a bug in the documentation regarding the manifest file, which you can copy a template over. I'm not sure if you can find the template manifest file to modify.
You mean so the question was that there is a bug related to manifest file copying. So if you specify your own manifest, it's not copied or something like that.
Yeah, it suggests to copy it as a template and to modify it so you don't have these three checks in the beginning.
Yeah.
Maybe you can show where to find a manifest template for Tizen. That's my question.
Okay. To be honest, I didn't try that, but I suppose that you should be able to specify it here. So if you go to your game directory, and if you specify any custom manifest or addition that should be used as a manifest, it should work. But there could be a bug, you know. If there is a bug, I'm keen to fix it. But I don't know. I don't have any manifest prepared to try it right now. But we can discuss that after the presentation. Any other questions? If not, thank you very much for your time. I will stay here, and if you have any question about Tizen or VP8, please let me know, or anything with Marmalade, please let me know. I am keen to help you. Thank you.